Hi guys, welcome back to the SheHH Podcast, where we interview women in Christian music and we speak to them and learn more about their lives, hear their stories and encourage people worldwide. We have a very special guest here today, the one, the only Coco Dupree.
Hey!
So I would love for you to maybe introduce yourself to those of us who are just like meeting you for the first time.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm Coco Dupree. I am a singer, songwriter, choreographer, actress, professional dancer, born and raised in South, but traveled the world and lived in many places.
Yes, because you have a bit of a mixed accent.
Everybody says it.
And you're kind of a veteran. Like, you've kind of been in this game for a while. Like, you're not new to the scene, but you've done different things at different times.
Yes.
Can we say?
Yes, agree.
And so this is kind of your re-emergent, or your what's the way? I don't want to say like your introduction, but like your reintroduction.
I feel like everyone has been saying this is the comeback.
The comeback. The comeback
that's
kid.
what I'm calling it. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it.
Could you maybe talk a little bit about your musical journey? So from starting, picking up music, being an artist, being a Christian woman, and then doing other things and then coming back to that. So in your own words.
Okay, so first of all, a lot of people don't know that I actually started out as a professional dancer first. So singing was nowhere in the radar. It was more just of in the living room with a hairbrush. That was me. My focus was being a professional dancer. Like, I love dancing. I grew up, watching Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson. So they were like my people that I would look at in terms of movement and performance. So that was my focus, really. And I guess I would say maybe like my early teens, mid-teens, where I would sing in church sometimes, but that would be like with all my cousins when we're together and we'd mess around and stuff, but we didn't really take it too seriously until my cousin introduced me to like an open mic night, and I went down there and he kind of like randomly called me up on the stage to do some backing vocals, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't like being in the front. I like being in the background. And he goes, yeah, so go up and sing background. So I was just like, okay. And I was so shy. I'm so shy. I'm such a shy person. When I say this to people are like, sorry,
really?
What? That's the response. And I'm like, I promise y'all, I am. I really am. But yeah, so I think doing that open mic kind of just like opened up doors just in terms of bringing out my confidence, because from that one time going there caused them to say, can you come back and do this as a job every week for us? And I was like, okay. So, and that kind of opened that door to other gigs and stuff that I was getting called for. And I think that's where my confidence came in. And I was still within the youth, like in my church, just doing little choir stuff with the rest of the youth. And obviously my cousins, he was like the main person that would always push us, like, our whole family can sing. So I've grown up with everyone in my family can sing. I've got musicians, we have performing art, like everyone in my family's in the arts at some point. So, and I guess it was from there really. And I think maybe like, coming to my late teens, early 20s, I think is when I maybe took it a little bit more serious and was focusing a lot more on my own writing. I didn't think I could write at all, to be honest. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just writing stuff.
It sounds good to me.
So, and then that's where it came to my first album. But obviously I went through life for me to be able to write that journey, just going through that, as I'm in church, but I'm still living life on the outside, and if you want to call it that, just going through the motions of life and experiences that cause us to shape, to shape you in a way. And I suffered from really bad depression from a young age, so those things, caused a huge like cloud. So it's like I couldn't do anything, but hence why Fall and Rise, which was the first album I wrote and was released in 2010. That's how that came about, because obviously I came out of the church through the depression and everything I went through, and then came back and wrote that album, and then just, was in different countries touring and enjoying being in different countries, being with different artists, being background, but as well as doing my own tour in America and enjoying that with many artists that I was working with.
Was this initially with the, like, so you said the first project was a Christian, like,
yes,
because it was you talking about going through depression, coming out, but rising and coming back.
Yeah. So it was, but it wasn't, I wasn't very, so pinpointing on what the issue was. It was more of how kind of God got me through certain trials. And just sometimes I would wake up with a song or of like, oh my gosh, why have I got this like weird pattern in my head talking about a superhero? And then it was at that time where I was really appreciating who my father was and what he did for me and how he really, if it wasn't for him praying in the background when I was going through the depression, I wouldn't be here. So I wrote this song called Hero, and that was for him, you know. But at the same time, it's almost like a double entendre because it was talking about God the Father as well as my dad, my earthly father, you know. So, and just certain little things that I went through in life, I was able to write it down in a smart way. That's why a lot of people say how you pen is different, you know, because you're not necessarily telling what your trauma was, but you're explaining it in a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Not trauma dumping.
Yeah, you know, so I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, this is such a depressing song. It's more, I want to encourage and uplift and motivate, saying, look, I'm a Christian, but I'm going through life just as everybody else. I'm not over holy. I'm not trying to be, you know. So yeah. And then after that album, I was just constantly on the road doing loads of stuff, but then kind of went through life again as it happens, the same cycle. And I just came out of music completely and was just unhappy. You know, I came back, I think the last time I came back from the US, and I was just like, I don't like being in the UK. Like, I'm so depressed. And I felt like I had no support. I felt like I just had nothing. And it just caused me to go on like this downward spiral. And then other things happened along the way. And up until pretty much lockdown, to be honest. So I was literally in my little rock, under my little rock, should I say, doing my own thing, doing a 9 to 5 and just trying to live and survive, you know. And then lockdown happened, whole COVID situation happened, and my father got really sick, and I was scared, especially when you're seeing and hearing about all the people that are dying and me, tough. And for me, I'm not a person that I don't take on fear so easily, but I think during that moment I had such high anxiety that just hearing about my father sick, I straight went into panic mode, and I was just like, and it just caused me to be like, all right, I am surrendering, like after 10 years of just doing my own thing and you know, being lukewarm, you know, and just straddling the fence, whether, God, I want to know you more, but I'm tired of the fight. I'm tired of the struggle. I'm tired, you know, but I was just like,
there you go.
Please take it, you know, and that caused me to drop to my knees completely and just be like, Lord, if you just bring him through this, I give you everything, you know. What do you need from me? What do you need me to do? And I'm telling you, within a couple of weeks, because he had been in bedridden for like a month, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, if this gets worse, I was just tears, snot bubble, the whole, I looked
especially from
nasty.
what you're saying when you wrote this song Hero for him, like you already had in your mind, like this man has shown me the Heavenly Father through his actions. Now he's the one who's sick. It's not like I see it on TV as, I feel for them, thoughts and prayers. It's like,
yes,
it's
when
real.
It happens to you, it really hits you differently. So it was just that man is strong. Like my father, even if he has a cold, he's still out there working. He's still, that guy does not take a rest, and when he does, you know something's wrong. So that's why. And my dad doesn't complain about any sickness, no nothing. So to hear that he couldn't even talk, I was just like, nah, this is not my father. Like, so yeah, I just surrendered everything, was on my knees, just bawling out my eyes, just like, I'm sorry for everything I've ever done, Lord. I just give it to you, please. You know, and that just from that day, I was so just focused on getting on that right track. And just joined back with my family church after being out for so many years. And then from lockdown, up until, I think lockdown was what, 2020, 21?
2020 and into
2020 into 21 I started writing, and I was just like, from that focus, just from that one day of focus and giving my all, I'm telling you, the downloads of music he was putting in my ears, the amount of dreams he was giving me, and I was like, yo, what is going on? And a lot of my friends that I speak to that are still in the US, they're very prophetic, and they were just like, sis, that is opened. You've got the key back, and he's opened it. So, yeah, and I just was recording nonstop. I'm sure within a space of 6 months, I recorded 24 songs. So it's like I was just on it because I decided to leave my job. I said, God, I will sacrifice whatever. I left my job. I was like, I'm done. Even if it means I'm struggling and I have to live on benefits, I will do that to do your kingdom work. That's what I did. And that's where I'm still at today.
Wow. You really said, God,
I'm all yours.
Hands off. Yeah, and even just touching on the dreams and everything that God was revealing to you during after the pandemic. At what point were you like, okay, now I'm gonna actually turn back and start making music, start doing ministry, everything that I kind of knew I was gonna do, I'm going to do now for real. He was talking to me in my dreams, so he was showing me that. What he has planned for me. And he was like, this has always been your calling, but there is more to it than just music. More. So I was like, really? And obviously, I think sometimes when we're given a gift, a lot of people either accept it or they don't, or they can't comprehend. How can people have that kind of gift today? Because they see it in the Bible and they can't comprehend how we could still have that today. It's real, people. It's 100% real. Absolutely. So that I know that there is people that still don't believe in prophets, or that they can speak into someone's life, or they can see their future, or they can see certain things. They're like, I'm not too sure about that. And I'm like, listen, there are many in the Bible. It's still, he's the same God yesterday, today, and forever. So how can that still not be living today on this earth? So I know that I carry a gifting that's more than just music. Music is my talent, and that's what he's given me. And he's given me many talents. So I saw it in my dreams of what he has called me to do, but it was for me to accept it because it's a, how can I put this? It's a higher mantle than I thought. I have not said this. You're the first that I'm actually spilling this to, So I'm not saying the title. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying it's a bigger mantle than I thought. And I was just like, Lord, that's a lot. I was gonna say, did you freak out? Were you like, oh, this is a bit?
Because it was because someone else, one of my closest friends actually prophesied the same thing to me and said, you're carrying something that's bigger than you think. And then that person's partner was like, who doesn't know me from Adam and only knows of my name, said, yo, can I speak to your friend Coco? And she's like, yeah. She goes, yeah, she was in my dream. I need to speak to her. Wow. And then we got on the call and just saying, listen, I was just kind of reeling off things that I've been through. And I'm like, how you know that? And just saying, listen, you may not believe it, but this is what God has called you to do. And I'm like, and he's like, he's just waiting for you to accept it. And until you do, you will never fully grasp or fully understand or walk in your full calling until you do. You're more than just music, and your child is going to be your ministry and is a part of your ministry. So many don't know that, yes, I am I wouldn't say I'm a new mother. Well, she's one now.
She's a baby, yeah.
She's a baby, so I am a new mother. A lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, Coco Dupree's had a baby. A lot of people don't know. So that was, she was one of the things that almost, I don't like to say it, but in my mind, it felt like, oh my gosh, I've just started doing music and I find like I'm pregnant. Really another setback. And then I was kind of dealing and struggling with that, thinking, that's my gosh. And also I've had her out of wedlock, Lord, and I'm sorry. And man, I just can't get this right. I just can't, how can I be doing this? And, you're calling me to do this and I'm not, I'm not right. I'm not doing right. But everyone has said around me, all my friends and the prophets that have spoken to me have all just said, she's actually a part of your ministry, and actually God allowed it to happen because you're going to see something greater. So I'm not going to speak on her life because she's had something big spoken over her too. So now I'm just like, all right, I'm learning to say I'm accepting who I am.
Yeah.
But I just take it day by day because it's still something huge for me. And I'm just like, all right, Lord, let's do this. And I just hope that I can make you proud and do what you have called me to do.
I'm really, really glad you touched on that because I don't know how much you know, but SheHH is specifically for women in the Christian industry. And a big part of our life is the fact that we give life, we bring forth children. And a lot of the time music as a career is shared with motherhood, with being a wife, with being a worker if you work in somewhere. Like, unfortunately, we're usually never given the privilege of just like, I just do music and that's just it. You know, I don't have the other hats.
Yeah.
But it's so important that we actually talk about the fact that as much as it's a privilege that a lot of male artists have to just do music, it's a privilege that female artists get to bring the rich. Do you know how rich your music's going to be? The fact that you have a baby at home that you have so much love for, that your heart explodes with love for, that you literally grew in your body. Your music has a richness that some other music won't. Do you get what I mean? And so I really think it is important that we do talk about that. So I would love for you to maybe talk about how you've navigated the space you're in now, but also the spaces you were in like before, being a vocal artist with other people, doing backing vocals, navigating those spaces as a woman. How did you find that?
Navigating. See, I find that a little vague. Like, can you make that a little bit more just specific? When you say navigating as a woman through that now, what do you mean? Like, be a little bit more specific to...
So... how do you feel like you were ever disadvantaged being a woman in some of these spaces? Like, was it a thing of, especially because a lot of backing vocals for huge artists are women, but they're just seen as like a voice who sings, does the singy bits in rap songs, or does the chorus, and no one knows their name, no one cares about them, that kind of thing. Did you ever find yourself feeling disadvantaged because you're a woman in these spaces?
No, I didn't. It could be a mixture of the people that I was around and the people that got me those type of jobs. I knew everyone. I knew them. So whether the MD was like a close friend that I've known who's a Christian that I've known for 20 years or whatever, or I had an actual advantage, to be honest, because one of the tour managers, the road managers that I had, was actually my music manager at the time. So whenever they had gigs and they needed a singer, he would come to me knowing that I needed the extra money. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you called me. Like, so that was my in terms. So I knew, okay, cool, I'm getting paid this month. This is good, you know. So I never really struggled with that, to be honest with you. If anything, it was a little bit, not scary, because it's just like when you're one of those faces that's seen all the time in this you get to know everyone and meet everyone. So like even certain celebrities, like they know who you are, like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, you good? Like, that's cool. But then it comes with its challenges in terms of there's a lot of like there could be a lot of male attention or you know what I'm saying, and the wrong attention. And, you know, you might get caught up in certain things, like just the certain surroundings that you know that you shouldn't be in. So I think I had to get to a point, it was tough, but I had to get to a point where it was like, all right, you're going to work, from your work, you're going home. You're going to no after party. You know, you're not doing that, you know. So I was doing all of that and enjoying drinking and doing all that stuff. And after a while, I was just like, you know, this is taking a toll. And, you know, you have to think like this is your job, just like a 9 to 5. Like this is your 9 to 5.
This is paying you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to just get out of that lifestyle and just focus on this is just your job that's paying your bills. You enjoy it because you enjoy being on stage. But that's about it for me, really.
What I love about you breaking out and being here right now is a really big thing that you've been really pushing for in all your interviews, in everything that's your press kit, everything has been perspective shift. Like, you've been here for a while. You're not surprised by the glitz and glam. And it's not like, oh, this is brand new. You've been here for a while. But your perspective on it and the way you view it is different. Okay. I'd love for you to maybe talk about how artists who are brand new can stop themselves from getting caught up in the glitz and the glam, in the material things, in the money, in the, oh, after party here and stuff like that. How do we avoid that when it looks so shiny and exciting to us?
Well, just like I've said in most of my interviews so far, I'll say the same thing. It comes down to, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your purpose? Do you know what it is? And I think when you have sussed that and you know what that is, then you know to stay on that straight and narrow. You know to be like, all right, cool, I'm not going to give in to that. Or say, you know what, I might go, but I'm not going to really fully conform to what they're doing. But I might just, you know, because especially being a Christian. If you're a Christian, a new Christian, whether a new artist as a Christian or a new Christian and wanting to be an artist or do stuff with the music industry, you know, you always have to have that foundation and stay grounded, because all those things are going to be temptations.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be around you. So you have to kind of like tell yourself, well, temptation's never going to stop regardless. It's how do I get through it, and how do I navigate through that, and what's my purpose? And I truly believe that once you know what your purpose is, nothing can really push you off. And it's only that I'm in my 30s now that I'm like, because I truly know what my purpose is, nothing really can push me off. No glitz and glamour is not really going to push me off. But I think most people have been able just to see that anyway, because a lot of people saying, you're so humble, and I'm like, I am. And they're like, why are you so surprised? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just doing me. Like, there's no formula. You know, it's just me. That's what I'm doing. So that's what I say. Just learn what your purpose is, know who you are, know what you've been called for. And once you know that, then none of those things can stray you. It might look good for a minute, but just think about the long run, the consequences it could have, and how it can affect you. And just remember who you carry, because when you go out there, people are looking at you. So whatever you carry, that's who you're representing. People will see that, you know. So yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. And I think it's really important that we hear people say that, especially once they've like actually, because it's really easy to say at the beginning of your journey, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fame. You have no fame. That's why I don't care about it. Well, if you've done it, and if you've seen your name in lights, and if you've seen, you know, celebs be like, hey, Coco, and stuff like that, like that's when, and you're not fazed by it, that's when you saying, oh, it's not that important. Yeah, it's actually of substance. Absolutely.
To be honest with you, I could never really allow my head to swim like, oh my gosh, the fame and lights, because once I leave the gig or once I leave the after party, I'm going back to my little apartment. Yeah. Where the flooring's not finished or the wallpaper's coming off. So it's like,
you're humbled.
Do you know what I mean? I'm walking, I'm just like, you know what? You came up with nothing, and it's only God's glory. It's only by his grace, you know, that you've come through, that you've made it this far. So really and truly, I there's no way in my head could swear. It's just, I can't.
No, that's really, I'm really grateful you said that, because I think sometimes we do need that reminder, especially when we're early, because in our journey, so that when we do hit those heights, they don't faze us. And it's not like, oh, I've arrived now. At the beginning, I couldn't see it. Now I can. It's like, no, there was a reason.
Absolutely.
But going on to the music and the fact that, you've, you know, made this comeback and everything. And that's with, like, you have music in the bank. Like you were saying, you were writing, recording. But you've already released one for us to enjoy at the time of recording. So by the time this comes out, there's probably more stuff out. But I'm really excited for this one because it actually features one of my favorite artists, Triple O. I love Triple O. That's my bro, big bro. And this is your single, He Done It.
Yes.
He done it. So I would love for you to talk about writing that song, recording it, and then also getting Triple on it.
Yeah, so when I first wrote that song, that was one of the last songs I wrote, actually. Wow. And it was with a new producer, but he was based in New York. So I was thinking, you know, I need to make, as we say, as artists, I need to make a hit. I need to make something that's going to be hard hitting as a first single. But at the time, I didn't think of it like that. I thought of it more like, I just need to make a song that's going to create such a big impact, but something that relates to me, that other people can relate to, you know, and go from there. And I think once I had heard the track, for me, when I have dreams, sometimes I actually get melodies in my dreams. And sometimes I will have a vision or a dream and I see things and I'm like, And sometimes I'll end up writing that. So, but with this one specifically, this song was actually a conversation between me and God. And I just wrote it in song form. And it's actually a clever way that I did it, because it's also an encouragement for myself from God to me, but to other people too. So it was a weird way how we did that. Yeah, so because he's encouraging me, but this encouragement is then to bless somebody else. So that's where that is, where the verses, I'm just talking to God, saying all these things. And then God is talking back to me in the pre-hook, and then I'm talking to everyone in the hook. Do you understand? So
the actual journey.
Yeah. So it's just that journey, and just encouraging everyone, like what he's done for me and how good he's been. And then even when I go through my mess and my trials and the work ain't happening, the money ain't coming in, the bills are piling up, you know, your friend's doing this and your family's not really, you know, doing the right thing, or you just, so much is going on in your head of life that you're just like, man, how do I get through this? Or, you know, for those that are, you know, mental health sufferers as well, it can seem like there is no way out and I don't know what to do. But God has proven to me over and over and over again that he said, I will never leave you nor forsake me. Just trust in me. It's for your own good. You know, I promise I won't let go. I've made up my mind. And that's when I say I made up my mind, because you've done it for me. So I've literally just reeled off the hook. The pre-hook is what he says back to me. So that's literally what I wanted to put back out there.
That's beautiful. And such a personal, like, encounter.
Yeah.
That's literally a conversation between you and the Lord. What gave you the boldness to even share that? Because I know that there's sometimes where I see God talk to me in a very personal way. And I'm like, that's for my journal. That's for me and my journal.
Yeah.
Nobody else. All right? No one's ever going to see that. But what is it that gave you the like boldness, the confidence to be like, this is for the world?
At the end of the day, if I'm going to be a walking vessel, then that's just, I have to be able to be transparent. I have to. I've always said I'm pretty much of an open book. I'm not afraid to speak my journey. And I've been asked many things in interviews, like, what have you been through? And I feel like sometimes not a lot of people, Christians, are brave enough to really open up where they've been or things that have happened to them, where I feel like I'm not afraid to share that.
That's
but
beautiful.
Also I do want to be sensitive, especially if I know that kids may listen to this. I don't want it to be too much. So I feel like I try to be smart with how I write. So like I said, I haven't exactly explained too tough
Word for word
my journey, you know, but I've basically just said, this is what I've gone through, you know, and these are the feelings and the emotions of it. But God's still God all the same, you know. So I've never really been afraid to open up. And I think even more so now, being older, I like to mentor. I look at myself as a bit of a mentor, especially when it comes to young women, you know, and I'm a bit of an advocate when it comes to mental health as well, because of that was a huge struggle for me growing up, depression and having anxiety now as an adult, and that I'm still working through, and God is still working through it with me. So I don't want to hold back certain things. I want to be able to let that go freely, and for other people to understand, listen, I'm this way, but God still loves me all the same. So I want people, and he's still with me. So I want to let other people know that it doesn't matter what you have. You could have one leg, you could have one eye, you could be, you know, completely, you know, just mental health crazy. You could just be thinking, I am the worst of the worst. It doesn't matter. You know, God still loves you all the same, you know, so that's it for me.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you come with that message, because I feel like if this is just the first of many to come, then we're going to receive music that's come from that place of like, intimacy with the Lord, healing with the Lord, transformation. And there's something, I can't remember where I read this, but as artists, as creatives, as writers, your job is not to write your trauma in a way that traumatizes the people that experience it. Your job is not to spread, you know, the dismay you experience. Hey, come and enjoy it with me. It's to say, oh, I'm like you and I'm going through these mental health issues and I'm struggling with depression as you see me, but I'm still taking every single day because there's hope. Like you're supposed to bring the hope.
Absolutely. You have to remember, music is a type of healer, you know, because when you're going through stuff, what song are you going to gravitate to? Where's that one song in your playlist that you know, oh man, I'm feeling so low. What's the song that's going to lift you up?
Instead of going further down.
You know what I mean? This just makes no sense. So I want to be able to share that and have a feel-good song, but still is being real, you know, with a great, you know, thumping bass and 808s to be like, you know what I mean? Because I'm a 90s R&B girl. So I want that sound to come through with the message. So yeah.
I would really love for you to share with us maybe what's to come, like what's in the horizon, what's like part of this comeback that we can really look forward to.
Okay, awesome. So I basically have like I said, I've written so many songs, and I've basically, I have grouped them into short EPs, so like 5 each song. And it all tells a story from the name of the EPs to how I've ordered the track. So it's actually, so the first EP that will be coming out, we're not sure of the date yet, but it's called Footprints. I can tell you that much. The title will be called Footprints, and there's a story behind that. So I don't know if anyone understands, or if you've ever read that poem, Footprints,
with the Jesus in the sand thing?
Yeah, but I don't know. Did it ever mention the word Jesus? I can't remember. But
yeah, was like there's 2 footprints next to me.
Yeah,
so that one,
something like that. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. But that has always stayed in my head somehow over the years. But I would never remember it. But then I'm very sure that when it came to me putting certain things together, and I actually made a feature song for that EP, and I'm like, when I came up and I was recording, thinking, oh, what could I do with this? What hook could I? And I was like, oh, da, 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 footprints in the sand, and that kept coming to me. And I'm like, oh, why am I saying footprints in the sand? And I think it just came to me the thought of that, because I wanted to be able to discuss and give an analogy in terms of we can't see him, but as you're walking, and the sand was the best way to kind of like say, when you look behind in the 2 feet, you might be yours, but actually they're God's, because you're made in His image, so He's with you. So it's, so that idea came from that poem, and so I've got Footprints coming out, I think later this year, more towards like September, October. So I'm also going to be putting together a one-woman show.
Wow. You said you're an actress.
Yeah. So, it's more going to be more music actually than anything. So what we haven't really finalized everything. We don't know whether to do like a show, whether to do a show of all my songs that I've done over the years and like a proper concert type thing, or whether to just do it like a listening party where we're just listening to my EP and make it more intimate. Yeah. So we're still thinking about that one. But so that's the focus at the moment that I'm doing. I'm doing a lot more hosting. I'm going to be hosting the TMMP Awards.
I saw you hosting. Was it Premier?
No, Premier Gospel. Oh, yeah. I was doing the red carpet.
You were doing red carpet.
I was hosting the red carpet there, for Visions TV.
That's when I was like, oh, I thought she did music. I thought she was an artist. But I love that there's multiple facets to you.
Absolutely. And that's what obviously my managers, they kind of just want me not only because there's more to me than just music. And they said, look, your personality, everything, you'd be good for like TV, radio, doing all this. Nice. So why not we just use all the skills that you have? And obviously it will help get your face back out there and boost everything. So I said, let's do it. So I'm not afraid of nothing. So let's just go ahead and do it. So I'm doing a lot of hosting for them. So, which is good. And it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. I've done a few interviews like Donald Lawrence.
Wow.
I was supposed to have, done another interview for, I believe it's TD Jakes' movie that came out that has, what's her name from Mary, I'm so bad.
Erica Campbell.
Yeah, she's in a movie that TD Jakes has done, and with other people as well. And I was supposed to have interviewed them. So I'm thinking, that would have been so cool, but that never happened. But and then Rhino Faye, I've interviewed him as well, who's done a lot of writing for like Maverick and loads of other people and been on tour with Ty Tribbett, Kirk Franklin and stuff like that. So that's all fun to kind of get out there. I enjoy that. For me, it's still a part of performance. It's still a part of being out there. So I enjoy that. Plus, obviously, I'm doing a lot of theatre stuff now. So I've got a theatre show coming up, I believe October 11th and 12th, talking on the Black Wall Street. So a lot of people don't know about that history, Black Wall Street, but people come to my pages, you'll see it there.
That's
so,
incredible. You're a very, very well-rounded like performer, like all the different elements, and you're touching on all those different skills. And I think that's a real testament to knowing the gifts God gave you and not limiting them to one thing.
No,
so that's a real encouragement to anybody watching. Like, if you have been given a skill, don't just be like, oh, I'm just an R&B singer, or I'm just like, it's like, you might be cool to use that.
Absolutely. I always think about the parable of the talents. Like, He's given me so many talents. Why am I just going to focus on one and leave the rest dormant? Like, if He gave those things to me, I'm going to use that for His kingdom. How best can I use that for His kingdom? So, and that's literally what I'm doing. I mean, my sisters, they always say to me like, what can you not do, Coco? And I'm like, I don't know, But it's like anything I put my hands to, I always learn a new skill.
Work.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling you, lockdown did some wonders for me. I studied, I learned, got some degrees, if I can call it degrees, like beauty technicians. So it's like I learned how to really focus more on makeup. I learned how to. I mean, I've always known how to do hair and stuff like that. You know, and learn how to like sew more. So it's like I've been creative with my clothing, painting and stuff. So like on the back of my hoodie here.
So you were of those, you know, during the lockdown, there was two camps of people. There was the people that were bettering themselves and doing new skills. And then there was the people making banana bread and baking.
Right.
You were of the side that were like, hey, let me get those skills. Yeah. Let me better myself.
Everything. I learned how to do cluster, like eyelashes and all sorts. I learned to do nails. Listen, I learned so much skills. It's unbelievable. And and I'm baking too.
I'm baking too.
No, let's not get twisted. Because the good thing about it is that my older sister, she moved in at that point to stay with me for that year.
So you guys were like,
and she's actually the professional baker. So she's always got orders every week, no matter what it is, weddings, birthdays, the whole lot. So I just always watch her and I'm like, I really want to learn to make that kind of cake. So it's like from watching her, I got into that baking, and learned to make my brownies, blondies, Victoria sponge, banana bread too, carrot cake, pineapple upside down cake or something like that, and pound cake and all that stuff. So I know how to do it all.
I love that though. I love that you bettered yourself, and now these are skills that you're using in different areas and different facets that the Lord has like called you into.
Yeah,
and that's an encouragement, because you know, as women, we can multitask, we can do multiple things, we can really flourish and wear those multiple hats. And so that's a testament to you. Really, just like the parable of the talents, being that good and faithful servant that the master comes back and he's like, gave you 5, you made 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the best.
Absolutely.
Good on you.
Lord,
you know?
Yeah.
So what is before as we close the interview, what is something that we as fans or supporters can really just be praying for you and encouraging you on?
Oh man, just pray for motivation for me. I know it might sound like, what do you mean motivation? But it's just like because there are days when I lose my creativity flow. Because at the end of the day, just like anybody else, like you, whoever, I still wake up and I can have like a gray cloud over me, and I just feel like, I just don't want to write today. I can't do this today. And I can get into like a worry ward, but also I still have to stay in mother mode, you know?
That's true.
So sometimes I can find it hard to kind of get out of that. So it's just in terms of just lifting me up, you know, in terms of just motivation, and just encouraging me to stay in my word as well, you know. And I'm not afraid to say that I don't read my word every day, and I should, you know. But there's days when I'm just like, I can't even be asked or ever even to wake up and pray. Even if you say, thank you, Lord, that's enough, you know. So it's just, for me, it's just more encouragement, you know. And that's about it, really.
And we will. You'll see the comments down below like, amen.
Amen.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating wherever you're listening to this, and to follow us on Instagram at SheHH Podcast.